All right, today we're talking about eyeballs and what to do and what not to do. So, the big thing I want to point out to you, it's a great big huge gigantic deal whenever you're creating your vector portraits, is that these eyeballs should not be flat. So what you don't want to do is use white. So I just pop some white in there so you can see how out of place it actually looks in this example here. So I'm going to give you some tips on how you can make eyeballs work. And I know sometimes your eyeballs are a fuzzy mess. That's why I go through the trouble of approving and giving advice on what to pick, because you want to pick something where the eyes are popping. But even if they're not, a lot of times I can fudge it and make up some fake eyeballs just using the techniques I'm going to show you right now. Well, here's the first part, which you probably already know, which would just be to start working with ellipses. Basically, I draw one ellipse like this and find the middle of the iris, or the pupil, I should say. That's not the iris. Then I start doing this stuff. I'm going to press Shift X to help me out here. I press Control C and Control F for paste in front. All that stuff's up here in the edit menu. And then instead of just holding down Alt to make a copy, I hold down Alt and Shift, or the Command key on a Mac, and go like that. And that should give me my iris, just like that. If I press Shift X, I should have two different things going on here. You see that? By the way, I'm going to take the stroke on this, since this is such a high-res photograph, and take the point up to 3. I'll use my shape builder in a minute to cut the stuff out that I don't want. Alright, so I'm going to go a level higher, which is going to be kind of weird, but I'll explain it in a minute. I'll press Control C, Control F, and then go like this, drag this guy out. Then one more time, Control C, Control F, Alt Shift, and then drag this out. And I'll explain myself in a minute here. But before I do explain myself, I'm just going to select all this and use the shape builder. I'm pressing Shift M right now and start to cut out the stuff I don't want. That part. Actually, I always turn the fills on just because this tool does get a little funky sometimes. I'm going to press Shift M, cut this part out, cut this part out, cut this part out, cut this part out, and there we go. Press Shift X here and start to see what I got. So for this, I'm going to choose a gray, a darker gray, for this shape right here. This shape. I'm going to press Control Z and put it back where it belongs. And we'll make sense out of this in just a minute. So I'll pick this gray. I'm going to send this to the back. Control Shift left bracket, or right click and arrange. Then this guy, I'm also going to send to the back, then by pressing Control Shift left bracket, and then Control Shift bracket right bracket to bring it forward just once. And I'll go with a lighter shade of gray. So it kind of almost looks like an iris. I'm actually going to tone this so it's like that. There we go. Then for this guy, which actually, I believe that actually is the iris, I'll pick out like a blue or something like that, and I'll send it back once. Let me press Control Y, make sure I didn't make a mistake. Nope, I'm good. I did make a mistake here though. See that? Forgot to cut that out. Alt. I pressed Shift M there by the way to get there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put a black iris in there. Alright, now this isn't perfect, but I want you to notice what I did here. In fact, let me take it one more level up. Control C, Control F, Alt, Shift to go like that. Kind of messed this up actually, because that should be another circle. So watch this. I'm going to resolve the issue. I'll press this pupil, Control C, Control F, bring this up, make this a little bit bigger. Now I'm faking it here, by the way, guys. Like this is just like a fake out. This actually isn't happening with this eye. I'm gonna press the eye key to get the eyedropper. Click this blue, then choose a brighter version of that blue. This is just for effect. Then press Control and the left bracket key to send this back. And the reason I'm doing all this is to make the eye look like it's protruding. That's basically what I'm doing this for. So where it gets darker, it goes back. And then where it starts to round, it gets a little lighter. And then that sort of continues. So that's what I'm doing here. So the whole goal here is to make this thing look like it's bulbous, and it creates a little bit of an illusion. All right, obviously I didn't capture the catch light, so let me turn this off. I got an extra piece here I guess I don't need. So actually I don't have an extra piece I don't need. It's this piece I want to keep because I've got a little bit more work to do. So a lot of Shift X going on, just like in the last video. Just pressing Shift X to keep turning stuff off. Switch it over to a stroke. If I'm pressing Shift X right now, it's not working for some reason. You know why? Because I got a fill here, so let me turn that off. There we go. It always helps to have the same color stroke on all these. Then you won't have, then you can invert them all at once if you want. But if even one of them is a different color, you'll have problems. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I hate all the work that goes into this particular part, but hey, you know, it's part of the job. So for this guy right here, you might be like, well, I need to capture all those eyelashes and stuff like that. Well, I'm just gonna make this up a little bit. For the most part, this is what the catch light looks like to me. Then it's got some stuff going on, which I'm not gonna really try to have a heart attack over, you know? I mean, this stuff here, I'm just kind of making this up. I'd like to be a little bit more accurate than this, but I don't really. I'm not going to take the time. This is just going to be white. The fact that everything else is gray is really going to make this white pop. I'm not sure that we absolutely need white, but let's go take a look at this. And again, we're back to a whole bunch of Shift X work. Yes, it takes a while. Make sure and send that all the way to the back. Just pressing Shift X. I've got an extra piece there that I'll explain in a minute that I need to keep. These guys that I turn red, I'll turn them back to gray again. If you think I'm crazy for going through all this trouble, you're probably right, but you can see how much depth I'm getting in this eye and how I'm making some of it up. You can see here, you don't actually see that transition happen, but you know I'm doing it anyways. I could make it a little deeper. I'm not going to bother. Part of the reason I kept this shape is simply to get this shape. You know, I'm seeing this. There's some technical name for this pink part of the eye right there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm making. Luckily, this is not an anatomy class. So when I took anatomy for artists when I was in college, I had to remember it. Now I just forgot it. And it's on video. My professor would be ashamed. Here we go. There's a shape that we wanted. And I'll make that a pink for now. And then we'll turn the rest of this stuff on. We're starting to cook here. In fact, I'm going to turn this piece off and just make this gray. I don't know why I bothered. That's what I should have done to begin with. You know, I'm starting to realize why I bothered. Whatever. Pressing Control Shift X to undo what I just did. I don't want this video to take forever. I'm not going for complete perfection. So there we go right there. And in terms of trying to fix this issue, I'll probably just lie a little bit. Again, there's always a little bit of fibbing that goes into this. I'm not even going to lie. I'm just going to leave it like it is. Again, let's not make this super crazy complicated. So once all that stuff's done and you're relatively happy, by the way, you might be asking questions like, what about the veins in the eyes? And what about this and that and the other? And, you know, try not to overthink it. I can show you some crazy tricks, but this is supposed to be about simplifying stuff. You know, making it simple. What I don't want are flat white eyes, you know, like that. That doesn't look realistic. Doesn't mean you couldn't do moves like this if the eye actually supports it. See what I'm saying? Not too bad. Now for the other parts of the eye, the tricks aren't really much different, but I do have students ask about eyelashes and stuff like that, so maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Let's turn this off. Oh look, I got a stroke left on. Let me turn that thing off. There we go. Alright, so for all these, it's a bunch of Shift X work. Make sure, at this point, you'd want to save. I know your eye is going to be different, but at least this gives you a clue what I'd like for you to do with the eyes. Well, let me keep going. Pressing Shift X a lot. Okay, great. At this point, I might take my reference and unlock it and take the opacity down a little bit. I did get fooled right there with the black of the eye not looking the way I thought it should. Yeah, see that? I got tricked. I'll lower the opacity of the reference. Where did I lower the opacity of the first time? Hello? If you're watching this at home, I'm as confused as you are. Come on, let's go. There we go. That's what I expected. I don't know what I was lowering the opacity on, but I guess we'll find out. Hopefully I didn't mess up my illustration. Definitely wasn't any of these things. I'm just kind of jumping through them real quick, make sure I didn't mess anything up. I guess not. Okay. Rewind the tape. You can find out what I did, because I'm not really sure what it was. All right. I'll select all this, and one thing I will do is I'm going to take the stroke size up. I shouldn't have chose such a huge image, but I did, so life goes on. So for all this, just so I don't have to mess with it, I'm going to lock it. So I'll go to Object, Lock. I don't want to accidentally run into it. Lock selection. Okay, so what do we do with these eyelashes? In a lot of cases, this is where I suggest using the pen tool and turning on pressure sensitivity, which would be just fine here. No one's ever going to get this close. But I'll since I am this close, I have this urge to be super accurate, but I'm going to try to avoid it. Pen tool wise, I'm going to try and show you a trick that if you decide to use the pen tool that you really want to kind of get used to. And that's this. Check this out. Basically, you click, you drag like that, and then you hold down the Alt key and you break the handle, you point it back the direction you want to go, then you make yourself something like that. And you do the same thing again. Alt click, redirect this, point it the direction you want to go. By the way, you'll notice here I'm really ignoring the reference. I'm really just pointing these shapes the same direction that the eyelashes are going. I'm imagining this is not going to be super big, and that's why this is turning out the way it's turning out. You're probably wondering why it terminates the way it does too there at the top. I'm not sure if you use the term terminate, but don't worry, I'll show you. Again, we're interpreting. We're not trying to go eyebrow lash for eyebrow lash or whatever. I guess these are eyelashes. I don't know why I said brow. I'm losing my mind, that's why. All right. All right, so this part right here where it flips out starts to change direction. I don't even know what to do here. So up, down, click make corner. Think right here I'm just going to make it up. Pray it turns out okay. So right here would point straight. Right? So right there it'd be straight. Maybe I'm going to close the stuff at the top. Let me get closer to it. I've never done this one before, so I'm hoping this turns out. I like for you to see the real experience, because I know that you're at home and you're creating stuff and you're like, this is hard, Eugene, and I want you to feel like I get you. hard, but it's fun, right? I mean, you hope it's fun. If it's not fun, you probably shouldn't be doing it because, you know, it's pretty tedious if you didn't like this sort of thing. Yeah, I broke that handle there. Sometimes I just break it. In Photoshop, you got to hold down Alt whenever you break a handle. Not in here. You just click and it'll break. Sometimes I do that as opposed to cutting it because I think it's just because I'm, you know, a little lazy. Because it's better to hold down Alt and break it, I suppose. Just also more work. And it can get a little bit more confusing, so sometimes I just don't. Alright, so here we go. We're kind of coming down to the end of it. And we're going to start working our way back up to the top of it again. That bottom half I'll get to. As you can see, my direction of these eyebrows is pretty clear. Here we go. Jutting back out again. Hold down the control key, drag that down. I like holding down the control key like that because it's a way to really do something to basically correct things live as you're working. I hate grabbing that stupid. Sorry, I said stupid because it's it's a cool tool, but the white arrow to fix stuff later, it just really seems like a shame. By the way, if you have a girl that's looking like a guy, just exaggerate the eyebrows. And if you have a guy that's looking like a girl, then don't. Or the eyelashes, I'm saying, then exaggerate the eyelashes. It's like a Disney trick. You'll notice that. That's what they do, like Daffy Duck or Daffy Duck's girlfriend Daisy. Like she pretty much has the same shape as Daffy. And what do? They put they use like a bow on her, and they're like, well, let's give her big fancy eyebrows. Same thing with Minnie. Yeah, it's pretty common. Just a pretty common thing. I don't know why we're talking about it. Crazy how well it actually works, though. Not that I have the hots for like weird creatures like that, but I could tell they're girls. Let me get off this topic. It's making me feel weird. Alright, this is taking way too long. Should I have made a video on this? Maybe I'll speed this part up and never let you listen to this. I don't know. But I'm going to let this turn into a little bit of slop here. That's the thing about these videos. You don't want them to take super long because you figure, somebody right now is turning this off. But whatever. Turn me off. Tune me out. Your loss. Alright, so basically the moves I'm repeating here are the same ones I'd already talked about. I am going through a little bit of hassle to try to make these, to try to match these up a little bit with their counterparts, but not a lot. I'm not hurting myself here trying to make this work. I have a habit of making things too complicated. Alright, so there we go. Look at this guy. Beautiful. And by the way, I spend the most time on the eyes of anything on these. There we go. That's pretty nice. I'm having a few regrets right here, but whatever. They're not deep, crazy regrets or anything like that. By the way, I should probably just get like a patch of skin or something right here. Some skin tone. I'll shove in the very, very back. Let me grab a color like that. Yeah, okay. Toss that back there. Press Shift X. Starting to see this. By the way, for this base color here, the one I can't select because I locked it, let me just unlock all and I'll lock it all again later. I don't know if I'm going to bother to do the bottom half for this video, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put like a black stroke on this. And it's sort of like eyeliner, It is eyeliner. It's not sort of like, it just turns into eyeliner. Not that I know anything about, makeup. Not that it's wrong if I did, that'd be fine, but I just don't. Well, I've had a bad zit and I've put makeup on before, I guess. With help from a lady. All right, there we go. Okay. One thing that I should have done, it's a little technical thing, but set the stroke on that to the outside, to that base right there. You don't have to twirl this open, but set the stroke to the outside so it looks like that. There we go. There we go. This is starting to look good. See how it's starting to come together, I don't have any of the shading in here yet, but I'll get it in there or whatever. Bottom line is my eye is looking pretty good. Not bad. Remember, the eye is jutting out. It's this perfect circle. We're only seeing like a small bit of it, so it's protruding out. So you want to sort of portray that. See how it recedes in right there. This is part I always make a big deal out of. Where it recedes in here, you really got to capture this part. This establishes that the eye is bulbous and that it's sticking out. I kind of wish I just used a stroke width tool on this or something, but to create this same old shape. But whatever, I want to pick a darker color because this is where the crease is. There we go, and I'll press Shift X and take a look at this. Yeah, okay, fine. It looks pretty good. It's not the prettiest thing I ever made in my life, but there we go. I'm not ridiculously disappointed. Again, we are simplifying. We're trying our best to simplify. Now there is like this bright shape happening along the edges here. I think I want it. Watch this. I'm going to do this. Object, path, and offset path. And I'll look at a preview and I'll just take the offset up until I'm happy. Alright, so this is me making stuff up again. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to eyedrop. I press the I key, I want to eyedrop this color and then lighten this up a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. Starting to look cool. See what I mean? That's making a real difference right there. I like it. I really do. So sometimes I do this. I'll show you how it works with this illustration. Sometimes I lie a little bit, period. No, I'm not going to show you that lie. Let's skip it. I keep telling you I'm telling lies, but basically I'm just creating an illusion is what I should say. I'm like David Copperfield or something. Yeah, create illusions. Awesome. All right. Well, I could work on the bottom of the eye, but I really don't feel like it, so I'll let you guys finish this. Here's a semi-finished eyeball, which obviously needs a little bit more work. In fact, I gotta admit, I'm kind of tempted to show you what the rest of that work looks like. Watch this. This is just made up. Like I said, this is the fake part I was going to tell you about that I was hesitating to do because this is on video and I don't want it to take forever, but just watch. Completely made up. What I'm doing is I'm just assuming that that the eyeball's sticking out just a little bit more than everything else, because it should. It juts out. Let me go like this. I should make this shape match that a little bit better, that's for sure. Come on, stop fighting me. There we go. This thing does not want to work with me. I'm forcing it. Get out of here. Yeah, I got it. I don't know what that is. All right. So watch this. I'll make this just a tiny bit lighter. You know, and send this to the back. There we go. And this helps make the eye look like it's jutting out a little bit more. It's a subtle thing, you know. This part over here I'll just cut out. I don't really have to solve that part. That, shoot, let me select this part. I'm not going to resolve whatever that was, but this will help things a little bit. Because this is where the eye juts out. And then along the rest of the edges over here. Sorry I'm saying so much. That's a primer thing. Where I'm getting ready for the next thing I'm going to say. But it's true, at some point the rest of this stuff is all going to flatten out. And I know this is, like I said, faking it. I'm not even looking at the photograph, but just the concept. It's all about just kind of understanding, you know, what the expectations are. I drop this. Yeah. And then for the outside, this is probably going to lighten up again. A lot of times it's something like this. This is totally faking it. But you're getting the rough idea of how this works. So let's go ahead and look at this versus the reference. I'll take the reference and bring it back up again. There we go, like that. Let me select it. Hit that little Cheerio right there. Take it up to 100%. And look at that. There we go. There are some things I wish I'd done a little differently now that I look at the reference. That's always going to happen. Like, I think that should come down a little bit, but so what? You get the basic idea. I hope you found this helpful when you're working with eyeballs. Should give you some ideas what it is I'm expecting. Just make sure the eyeballs they don't look flat. All right. Thank you for enduring this video.